Linda Ronstadt has always been in the spotlight because of her amazing voice, outstanding career, and stunning appearance. Even though she was matched with the most attractive men, Linda decided not to get married and lived her entire life alone. Ever pondered why? Today, Linda Ronstadt shares her very private reason for never getting married. Fans are startled by her decision after reading this startling account filled of convictions and justifications. Examining Linda's early years and potential psychological influences is essential to comprehending her and, ultimately, her decision. On July 15, 1946, Linda Ronstadt, a future music legend, was born in Tucson, Arizona, into a family full of melodies. Linda's early childhood was a fusion of Mexican and American music, and she was holding a guitar that was influenced by her father and the songs of her culture. The basis for her varied career was established by this foundation. Bob Kinnell, a folk fan with aspirations of the big city, was introduced to Linda in high school. Despite her initial reluctance, Linda's fate was unavoidable, and she left the University of Arizona to follow the music to Los Angeles and join Kimmel. There, they joined forces with Kenny Edwards to form the Stone Ponies. They started off little in 1967, but their track-different drums soon made them famous and introduced the world to Linda's distinctive voice. This was the birth of a music legend, not just the beginning of a career. In addition to being a musical phenomenon, Linda Ronstadt was a trailblazer who dismantled boundaries and preconceptions. She made her mark in the music industry by taking over stages, stadiums, and pavilions in a time when male performers predominated. Linda's influence was unbounded, since she was regarded as the first lady and queen of rock. Linda made a name for herself in the male-dominated rock industry during the thriving music scene of the 1970s and 1980s. Despite encountering sexism in the field, she persisted and put in twice as much effort to secure her position. However, you might question why Linda's path hasn't been entirely glamorous. She bravely discusses the hardships she encountered today, capturing the isolation of traveling. Like her songs, Linda Ronstadt's life and love journey was varied and full of depth. She had her share of relationships, including a lengthy connection with California Governor Jerry Brown and time spent with J.D. Souther. They even appeared together on the covers of prominent magazines, demonstrating how widely known her personal life had grown. But in spite of numerous relationships, Linda never got married. She had an unexpected relationship with comedian Jim Carrey in the 1980s, and she later was engaged to George Lucas, the guy of Star Wars, for a long time. However, Linda's heart took her in a different direction, and she chose to adopt 2 children, Carlos and Mary Clementine, and become a single mother. You meet someone who is so musically inspired that it blows your mind, but he's such a jerk, such a maniac, that you can't get along with him. Linda shared her difficulties in finding the ideal spouse, adding that he's extremely lovely but not musically inspired. The issue of finding someone who can tolerate you comes next. This candid assessment of herself reveals that she was seeking a companion who would not only be kind but also share her love of music, a very challenging endeavor. Was that the only thing that made her decide she would never want to marry? Not entirely. Linda relocated to San Francisco after growing weary of Los Angeles, where she thought the air was stifling and the values were glamour and status, which she had never been affiliated with. She eventually returned to her roots in Tucson, Arizona, to raise her kids after searching for a place where she felt more at home. Later on, she found her own rhythm between Tucson and San Francisco for balance. A quiet chord was struck in the midst of Linda Ronstadt's existence, which was woven together with songs, tours, and spotlights. Beyond the glitz of her job, Linda had to deal with a personal issue that changed the course of her peculiar, alone life. Linda is well known for having a strong voice that can express even the most intense feelings, but her story takes an unexpected turn. Her battle with the 2013 diagnosis of Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease affects many elements of physical movement, and for a singer like Ronstadt, it impaired her capacity to control her vocal cords. This diagnosis was a cruel twist of fate that stripped her of the essence of who she was as a performer. But she didn't lose her spirit. In order to increase awareness of the illness and its consequences, Linda shared her experiences and handled her diagnosis with remarkable grace and candor. She responded to the interviewer's question about if she misses singing every day. "You claim to miss singing on a daily basis. In my mind, I can sing. Do you mentally sing? Not exactly the same. How does it feel to sing in your head? When the melody is all you hear? Sometimes my brain chooses the music, and other times I do. The worst music is selected by my brain. In my mind, it fades away. Christmas carols that are truly awful." For Linda Ronstadt, traveling was like turning the same old pages, where sound checks, hotels, buses, and performances were all part of the ritual. Did that imply, however, that she was not in a relationship? Quite the opposite. Linda was at the center of several high-profile romances as she rose through the ranks of musical achievement. Despite having contacts to powerful figures in politics and entertainment, she chose to live alone and declares she no longer wants a partner. Her single status was the subject of conjecture, with some blaming it on her sexual orientation. But when Linda finally spoke candidly in an interview, she presented an entirely different viewpoint. Linda claimed that finding love and getting married to the right person were her actual goals. Finding someone who touched Linda's heart was more important to her than fitting in with society's standards. Who, then, was Linda's ideal match? Personality, care, and loyalty could not be compromised. She also disclosed that one of the most important components of attractiveness is having a strong sense of humor. She was immediately attracted to someone who could make her giggle. Furthermore, it was their mutual appreciation of music and their profound knowledge of it that made her think about dating. She dated men who were as passionate about music as she was, but none of them ended up being her life partner. To begin with, is this feasible? I must admit that I support musicians. I simply adore music. Regarding interpersonal connections, Linda Ronstadt has been forthright about her views on marriage. She acknowledged in a Washington Post interview that she was completely unsuited for marriage. She claimed to dislike making concessions. She must want it to be that way. Must obtain. Linda Ronstadt described the intricacies of relationships, particularly those with roots in the entertainment sector, in an interview with Crawdaddy magazine in 1974. She acknowledged that it might be difficult to sustain long-term partnerships, particularly in the fast-paced entertainment industry. Relationships don't last long, she says, and she now understands marriage. And Linda Ronstadt also underlined how hard it is to find a mate that satisfies every requirement. According to her, you meet a really nice guy who doesn't have any musical inspiration, and then you meet someone else who is so musically inspired that it's mind-blowing, but he's such a jerk and a crazy person that you can't get along with him. And then there's the issue of finding someone who can tolerate you. Linda Ronstadt's story is one of tenacity, passion, and unrivaled talent in the music industry and beyond. Linda handled life's highs and lows with poise and tenacity, from her ascent to fame as a pop culture star to her fight with Parkinson's illness. She received honors like the National Medal of Arts for her unique voice, yet she never wavered from her artistic principles in the face of adversity. Linda Ronstadt was awarded the 2013 National Medal of Arts. Everyone can find inspiration in Linda Ronstadt's narrative as she continues to live life on her own terms. I'll see you in the upcoming video.